Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story time is about one of the scariest things ever, man. I look back on this and I think this could have been so much worse. This could have been bad, like really, really bad. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like on the video. Also, go stream my new song. It's out now. And let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place back when I was 16 years old. Yeah, pretty young teenage Luna. Now, around this time, I was just a straight idiot, bro. Like, any chance I got to get myself into some trouble, I would for some reason always take it without hesitation. I'd always think like, oh, it won't go wrong, I'll be fine. And then I go do that thing and it goes wrong and I end up in trouble and grounded for months and possibly having the cops called on me. And yeah, I just wasn't the smartest person. Well, this all starts off like any other normal day back when I was 16. I got up out of bed. It was summer vacation, so nobody was at school and all my friends were off school and so was I. And I texted one of my friends, Nathan. Now, Nathan lived like 2 streets over from me. I went to school with him. He was my best friend at the time. Good dude, right? Still kind of friends with Nathan to this day, but we don't talk as much just because he lives in another state. But good friend of mine at the time, right? And me and Nathan would always do one of two things when we would hang out. We'd either go to Taco Bell, which is still my routine with friends, or we'd go find some abandoned place to sneak into and take pictures and just basically find spooky buildings to explore, right? If you've been watching this channel for more than like a day, you probably know that about me by now, that I used to explore abandoned buildings a lot. It was a hobby of mine. So I hit up Nathan and I was like, yo, I'm bored. What are you doing tonight? Like, you want to hang out? You want to sleep over? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm down. And before I knew it, within like 15 minutes, Nathan was in my driveway. He rode his bike over. And yeah, we're hanging out. Now, it started off pretty boring. We weren't doing a whole lot. We were just sitting in my room playing Xbox. And I told him, I was like, yo, man, I'm bored as shit. You want to do something? He's like, yeah, what do you want to do? I'm like, you hungry? He's like, not really. I'm like, fuck. All right, me too. Do you want to go like just ride our bikes? He's like, sure. So we went outside, I grabbed my BMX bike at the time, he grabbed his, and we started riding off into the town, just trying to find something to do. Now, we ended up going to an ice cream place. We got ice cream for like 10 minutes, and then after that, once again, just bored, didn't really know what to do. And we ended up riding around for like, 20 to 30 minutes, just in the town and through neighborhoods. And we ended up going down this one neighborhood road, which was notoriously sketchy. Like, I remember my mom would always tell me when I was riding my bike, don't go down that street. That's where, like, the drug dealers live, and that's where the cops are always at. Like, it's dangerous. Don't go there. And, of course, like an idiot teenager, I was like, oh, she's probably tripping. Like, I'm just gonna go check it out. I'll be fine. No big deal, right? So, yeah, me and Nathan on this day decided to ride our bikes down this street, which we had never done before. And upon riding our bikes down this street, I realized pretty quickly that my mom wasn't lying. This street was pretty run down. Literally at the end of the street, I saw a cop car parked up, like chilling. I saw like 2 of those like roadside memorial things that they put when someone passes away in that spot. Not sure how those people passed away, but still gave me kind of an eerie vibe. And I just was like, damn, okay, this street really is like kind of real. You know, like this isn't some joke. I probably shouldn't be hanging out down here, right? And me and Nathan, just as we're about to leave, right, we're about to turn around on our bikes and leave the street, we notice something. We see an abandoned house that looks very easy to get into. Now, like I said, I was obsessed with abandoned buildings, so was Nathan, and we saw an opportunity. Now, at the time, I didn't think twice about it, but I should have, because obviously on a street like that, an abandoned house is a terrible idea to go into because it's probably a fucking bando and they're probably selling drugs out of it, or that's probably where like homeless people are chilling. Like, it's just not where you want to go hang out with your friends, right? Especially at 16 years old. So yeah, I just gotta say, if you and your friends are ever walking down a sketchy street or biking down a sketchy street and you see an abandoned house, don't go in that bitch. But yeah, me and my friend didn't think twice. We're like, oh shit, abandoned building, let's go check it out. So we rode up to it on our bikes, we got out of sight so the cop didn't see us, and we ended up parking our bikes on the side of the house and then walking around to the back because we saw an entrance at the front, but we didn't want to go in through the front because the cop would see us. So we walked around to the back to see if there's anything back there that we could enter through. And sure enough, there was. The sliding glass door was completely shattered. You could literally just walk up the steps and walk right into this abandoned house. So yeah, without second thought, that's what we did. We walked into this abandoned house and we started exploring. Now, on the first floor, there wasn't much to see. It was just a rundown house, like there was trash everywhere and mold and it was all like rotted out. And yeah, just abandoned building type shit. Now, it wasn't until we got to the upstairs where things get interesting. So we go upstairs and we go into one of the first bedrooms. And the first thing I see is 2 air mattresses and 2 backpacks. And there is like needles all over the ground and empty bags and garbage, like fast food wrappers. And I quickly realized, oh shit, people are living up here. Like, this is where people are hanging out, doing drugs, whatever, right? And me and Nathan looked at each other and I remember being like, yo, we should probably dip. Like, they might come back soon and like, that'd be bad. He goes, yeah, man, I agree. Let's check out the last 2 rooms really fast and let's get the fuck out of here. Like, let's just go in there for like 10 seconds and then get out. And I was like, all right, bet, sounds good. So we go into the second room, nothing really in there, just garbage and shit. And then we go into the third room. We open the door and I see something. There is a like staircase / ladder that goes up to the ceiling, that goes up to the attic. And me and Nathan looked at each other kind of like, yo, should we explore this or should we get the fuck out of here right now? And my dumb ass goes, let's just take a quick peek. So I climb up the ladder. I climb into the attic, which is so dumb because that floor could have gave out so easily. That's happened before to my friends. I've told stories about it. But yeah, then Nathan climbed up behind me and we're both in the attic exploring it. When all of a sudden, while we're up there exploring, we hear voices below us. We hear voices on the first floor of the house talking. And not just one voice, multiple voices. Like probably 3 or 4 people, right? And the voices are getting louder and louder and louder. And we hear footsteps coming up the stairs. And me and Nathan are both just like sitting there on the ground in this attic, like staring at each other. And I remember whispering like, dude, what if they fucking come up here? Like, what if they come in the attic? And he's like, bro, calm down. Like, they're probably going to go in that room that has the beds in it. We'll be fine. And the voices just keep getting closer. And we hear them coming down the hallway. And then I hear them come into the room that the fucking ladder's in to the attic. And at this point, I was shitting myself. Because the voices were right there. Like, they were literally right fucking there. And I thought they were about to come into the attic. But no. Luckily, they were just in that room talking. The room below us. Now, I remember, like, quietly sneaking over to the window that the attic had. There was like a little window for airflow or something. And I remember looking down and seeing how high of a drop it was. And I thought to myself, like, okay, if they come up here, I'm just going to jump. I'm just going to jump down and try and land on the roof or something. Or if I fall and hit the grass, like, whatever I break, whatever bone gets snapped will probably be less pain than whatever these people are going to do to me. Because I didn't know who they were. I didn't know if they were homeless people, if they were drug dealers, if they were both, if they were like fucking gang members. I didn't know, right? Like I was terrified. I was a 16-year-old kid freaking out. So we end up just like sitting up in the attic quietly, right? Just listening to their conversation. And we realized pretty quickly that their conversation was drug related. They were talking about somebody coming through soon to pick up a bag and how much it was going to be worth. And then after that, they were talking shit about the person that was coming to buy it. Like I heard one of the guys call him a name or some shit. Like he called him a pussy or something. And the more and more these people talked, the more and more I realized, these motherfuckers were nobody we should be messing with. At one point, I heard one of them say he was going to get his strap in case anything went wrong. So yeah, one of them had a gun or was about to have a gun. So that wasn't fun to hear, knowing that we were in the same house as these people. And if we got caught in there, they might use it. We were terrified, right? We were just fucking shaking, man. I remember we looked at each other at one point after this guy said that, and we were just shaking, like in fear. And it got to the point where I almost wanted to jump out that window regardless so we could get out of that house, but we just sat there quietly, essentially having a panic attack. Now, after about 30 minutes of them talking, I heard one of them say, all right, let's do this shit. And I hear them leave the room, and I hear them walk into another room. And I heard the sound of like bags moving and shit. So maybe those bags, those backpacks had drugs in them or something, and they were getting stuff out. And then like 15 minutes later, we hear the voices go farther and farther away down the stairs, down to the first floor again. And then we don't really hear them at all. And I remember me and Nathan looking at each other and whispering. I was like, yo, do you think they're gone? And Nathan's like, I don't know, bro. Like, should we try and get out of here? And I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, what if they're still downstairs? Like, just being quiet or something. Like, what if we see them down there? And he's like, all right, here's what we'll do. Let's climb down the ladder really quietly. Let's see if we can find a window on the second floor, climb out onto the roof, and then jump off the roof. Now, we didn't even know if this window that we were going to find would even connect to the roof. We didn't know if like the house was built that way. Like, You know what I mean? So we were like taking a complete gamble here. So we sneakily climbed down that attic ladder to that room that those guys were just in, that they were not in anymore. And we saw a window. We looked out of it. Unfortunately, there was no roof connection. So if we jumped out that window, we'd probably hurt ourselves. And then we quietly like tiptoed out of that room. And it was so terrifying because the floor kept fucking creaking no matter how much pressure we put. Like the floor would just creak a little bit because it was so old. And we were terrified they were going to hear us. We still didn't hear any voices, by the way. So we thought, okay, maybe they're not in the house right now. Like maybe they left. Then we tiptoed into the other room where there was like a bunch of garbage. Not the room with the beds, but like the room that was like parallel to that room that had just garbage in it. And we saw a window. Unfortunately, it was nailed shut. So that was out of the question. So our last choice was to go in the room that the beds were in. So we quietly like opened that door and the beds were there and so was the backpacks and stuff. And there was no one in there, thank fuck. And there was a window in there and luckily it was broken so we could get out of it if we needed to. And there was just a little bit of roof right in front of that window. Not enough to like walk on it, but like you could stand on it. Like you could just barely stand on it and then hang off of it and drop. And the way that this room was positioned, like where this window was, in the backyard, there was a hill. So like the drop wouldn't be as high as if like we were to jump out any of the other windows. So this was our golden opportunity to get the fuck out of here, right? So I went first. I got on the roof. I hung off of it. I dropped. I landed on the hill. I still fell over because it was a pretty high drop, but I didn't break anything or hurt myself too bad. After that, Nathan followed in my footsteps. He hung off the roof. He dropped. He landed. He didn't fall like I did, so shout out to him for having good balance, I guess. And after that, we proceeded to sprint as fast as we fucking could around the side of the house, grab our bikes. Thank fuck, by the way, these people didn't see our bikes, because if they saw our bikes, it would have been game over. And we proceeded to bike out of there as fast as we could. And while we were biking out of there, I turned around, like I turned my head, and I see all of the dudes on the porch in front of the house. And they see us. And they give us a super dirty look. And one of them yelled something. He went, hey, and then he said something. I didn't know what he said, but I was not about to stop and ask him what he said. I was like fucking out of there, bro. We were just done. By the way, it was 4 dudes standing out front, all probably like in their 30s or whatever. So we were hearing the voices correctly. It was like 4 people. So yeah, that wouldn't have been fun if they caught us. Anyway, we biked the hell out of there super fast. We didn't look behind us. We just kept biking as fast as we could, just in case they were chasing us or something. And after we got out of that street and took a right turn, we like stopped and caught our breath and like made sure they weren't chasing us. We didn't see them. And then like a minute later, we went back to biking. We biked all the way like probably another mile or 2 to this corner store. And we stopped in the parking lot and just like finally let out all of the pent up like anxiety and fear. Like we stopped, we looked at each other and I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? And he's like, holy shit, dude. I thought we were about to die. And I was like, I know. Like, bro, those motherfuckers were fearless. They were standing out front, about to do a drug deal with a cop right there down the street looking at them. Like, those motherfuckers probably would have, like, beat the fuck out of us if they saw us in there, man, or, like, worse. He's like, yeah, man, I know. He's like, you hear the one dude talking about a strap? And I was like, I know. So after this, we ended up biking back to my house, and we just stayed the fuck inside all night, bro. We didn't want to go anywhere after this. Like, we just were afraid of the world at that point, bro. We didn't want to go anywhere. So I stayed my ass inside that night, so did Nathan, and we just played games all night on my Xbox and just enjoyed the fact that we were okay, that we didn't die, that we didn't get beat up by them or worse. And we made a fucking promise to each other to never go down that street again. Funny enough, I actually ended up going down that street like 3 or 4 years later to pick up a friend, because I had a friend that lived there, like 2 houses down from that house. And I remember looking at it in the car with my friend and being like, yo, never go in there. He's like, fuck no, I'm not going in there, bro. Like, it's a bando. I see people in and out of there all the time. And I was like, yep, I know. He's like, wait, you been in there? And I ended up telling him the whole story, and it was just crazy. But anyway, yeah, that was the last time I saw that house. I haven't been down that street since. My friend moved out of there. So yeah, I was only over there that one time picking him up. But yeah, I don't know if the house is still there. I mean, if I ever find myself in that area again someday, which hopefully I don't, I'll take a picture of it and show y'all in a future video. But I'm going to keep avoiding that street like the plague, because whenever I get near it, all the memories and the anxiety from this story time just come rushing back in. But it's a great story, and I'm happy to tell it today. And hopefully you guys can listen and learn from the mistakes that I made and don't repeat them. So that leads me to my next point. Moral of the story is, do not do any of the things I talked about in this story. Just do not. Do not go to an abandoned house on a sketchy street and explore it with your friends. It is a terrible idea. Stay the fuck away. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the story time. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely a crazy one in my opinion. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Bitch, take his 401k and I'll put it on my wrist. Only wanna sell my fit.